So I'm going to be going over the part 1 of the font pair assignment in this video. We are using Adobe Illustrator for this assignment. The icon looks like this. It's orange with an AI. Do not download the beta versions of the software if you can help it. Also, do the logo design, reading, and quiz before attempting this assignment. So font pairs are really important, and this intro paragraph, definitely take a look at this and read it. And here's an example of a successful font pair. And this article also goes over, just tips and tricks for creating successful font pairs. So if you want a little additional support, definitely click on this link and read the article before beginning the project here. So part 1, this is what we're covering in the video. We're going to find 6 examples of font pairs that inspire us, and we're not going to use examples from the article above. We're going to look online for these. We need to find images that are not blurry, and then we'll find, we'll save them to our computer, 6 of them, 6 different font pairs that we like. Most likely they'll be JPEG or PNG files. And then we'll open an Illustrator and we'll create a file that is 8.5 by 11 inches, which is 8.5 inches wide, 11 inches tall. We'll set the resolution to 300, and it'll be in CMYK color mode because we are going to be printing these. In theory, if you're online, you're not going to be printing these, but bring the 6 logo examples that we find. We'll just do a file place, bring those into the Illustrator artboard, size them so they all fit on the artboard nicely, and then we'll save it and we'll move on to part 2. But we're going to just do part 1 in this video. So let's look for font pair examples. You could also mix up the way that you search for these. You can also go to a font pair generator if you want. Not really huge deal, but so maybe I like this one, because actually I do like this one. I think, kind of more of a bold font for headlines, larger text, and then just a really simple, smaller font for body copy. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Shift-Command-4 on my keyboard if I have a Mac. Or you can do a snip tool. If you have a Windows machine, you have to use your snip tool to get these. This is probably the easiest way to do this, is to take a screenshot, but you can also just save it, Control click on this and save image as, and save it to your downloads. But I kind of like doing just doing the Shift-Command-4, which is a screenshot. This is kind of small, so I actually am going to do an open image in a new tab so I can see it at full size to get my screenshot with. And I'm kind of liking this one. And I like the script font paired with, although I cannot read the script font, which is an issue, but I do like the scripts paired with some of the more serious fonts. So yeah, I'm just going to take, some of these, maybe take your time a little bit more than I did, but, and so if you go into Finder, you might have to go into the applications folder to find Illustrator and then launch it by double clicking on the icon. We can do a control click down here and options keep in dock. Just make sure that's checked so it just stays down in your dock. So you don't have to go looking for it every time in the applications folder. So let's just do a file new. We're going to start a new artboard. In Photoshop it's called a canvas. In Illustrator it's called an artboard. And it's basically just the surface that you make your designs on inside the software. So let's go to print. Let's do, we can change this to inches over here. Let's do 8.5 by 11, so 8.5 wide by 11 inches tall, and make sure you're on inches. We're going to do one artboard. No bleed is necessary, but this is important. If advanced options is not open, you can just click on this little arrow and definitely put this on CMYK color mode, and the raster effects does need to be on high, which is 300 ppi, pixels per inch. There's more settings, but we don't need to open that up. So let's just go ahead, once we get our settings looking like this, and push create. So here's Illustrator. It's very, it's got some of the same things as Photoshop does. One of the main differences that you might notice is that it doesn't have like a layers panel down here. There are layers in Illustrator, but so one thing that we should do first is go to Window Workspace and go into Essentials Classic. I'm going to reset mine because I'm not really quite sure. But yeah, definitely go to Essentials Classic. Make sure that your Properties panel is open. If it isn't, just go to Window Properties here and make sure that's checked. It should look like this though if you just do Window Workspace Essentials Classic. You know, you might have it like this, the toolbar over here, but you can always, you know, to match mine, you might want to expand that. So let's just do a file place now that we have our document open. And screenshots on a Mac anyway, they go onto the desktop. So I'm going to just go like 1, 2, I'm pushing shift on my keyboard to get multiples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I'll bring in the seventh one too, just because maybe I like one more than the other. So, and I can also see the date added, so I can tell which ones are the ones. So I can click and drag these in and let up on my cursor or mouse at the size I want to bring them in at. I would highly suggest clicking and dragging them in at the size you want instead of just clicking sometimes, because if you just click, sometimes they come in really big. I'll delete that one. So, I mean, this is a pretty easy thing to do, really. It's probably not going to take you very long. You know, and you can even play around in here, but basically if you're on the black arrow tool, you can move anything. It's much like the move tool in Photoshop, the black arrow tool is. If we click and drag and hold down on our cursor and let up, we can get everything selected, and we can do like an alignment here down the middle so that everything's aligned down the middle. There's also an alignment panel over here in the properties. If we have everything selected, we can actually go to these 3 little buttons for more options under the alignment panel, and we can actually align to it's currently on align to selection, but we can put it on align to artboard temporarily and go to align down the middle, which is actually called horizontal align center. But then let's put it back to selection after we're done with that. So now it's like perfectly aligned. If I want to get really fancy, I can distribute the spacing between the objects by clicking here so that all of these spaces vertically between these different images is perfectly the same, which is definitely nice and clean looking. Okay, so now that we have page 1, I would say set your page up like this, do the alignment down the middle, have them stacked, try to get them aligned to the artboard, try and do this distribute between the middles. It's great, great practice for you guys to do that. And then let's just do a file, save as. We're going to save this now in our documents folder because we don't want to put it on our desktop or in our downloads. We want to make clean ways of saving everything. So let's put it in our graphic design 231 folder that we should have. Let's do a new folder within the class folder of font pair assignment. If I can spell. Folder names can have spaces, so just go ahead and add spaces in that. That's the file name that we don't want to screw up. Okay, so definitely name your file with your first name, font pair assignment, and this will be an AI file. That stands for Adobe Illustrator. Down here in the format, it'll automatically go on Illustrator. You can, there's other options here, but we're definitely going to keep it on the native file format, which is the working file that you can go in and edit, much like the PSD from Photoshop. It's much the same. It's a larger file size because it contains all of the information in it for editing. So let's just go ahead and do save and OK. So that should save our file, our AI. And that's part 1 of the font pair assignment. In the next video on the font pair assignment worksheet, you can click on that and it'll take you to the second video that will finish up the font pair assignment. All right, talk to you later.